Habitat is lost and degraded when natural or anthropogenic activities damage and destroy habitat to such an extent that is no longer capable of supporting the species and ecological communities that naturally occur there. It often results in extinction of species and as a result of the loss of biodiversity. And now, we'll discuss the different effects of habitat loss on species and habitat.
Good day, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the impact of habitat loss on wildlife. So first, what is habitat loss? Habitat destruction is defined as removal or alteration of conditions necessary for animals and plants to survive. It has a detrimental effect on not only individual species but also in the global ecosystem's health. So in this picture, we can see the land development through the years. Habitat loss is primarily, but not always, a result of human activity. But in this PowerPoint presentation, we will talk about the anthropogenetic impact. Clearing land for agriculture, grazing, mining, drilling, and urbanization has a negative impact on the 80% of global species that live in forests. Each year, approximately 15 billion trees are chopped down, and according to a study published in Nature of Tree Density, a global tree population has decreased by 46% since the start of civilization. Now we go to the effects of habitat loss and destruction on wildlife. Habitat destruction is the main reason that many animals are in danger of going extinct. First is urbanization. In urbanization, it is important for the land to be leveled in order for the building to be stable and for the building process to start. A lot of animals can keep up with these big changes because they happen so quickly. Next is pollution. Pollution has the greatest impact on freshwater wildlife. Contaminants that end up in aquatic systems include untreated sewage, mining waste, acid rain, fertilizers, and pesticides. These pollutants can all be found in rivers, lakes, and other water bodies. Last is habitat displacement. Wildlife's entire way of life is altered when they are displaced. Solace from predators can be found in one's home. In the wild, young animals must also be cared for in a variety of ways. For their own safety and for the sake of their own survival, the young must be taught how to hunt and gather their own food. That is the end of the part one of the impact of habitat loss on wildlife.
When a habitat is destroyed, the carrying capacity for indigenous plants, animals, and other organisms is reduced so that the population decline, sometimes up to the level of extinction. Habitat loss is perhaps the greatest threat for organisms and for the biodiversity. The death of wildlife and negative environmental impact are the result of habitat loss of many species or organisms. One of the examples of this is the deforestation. Because of these activities, the natural habitat of many species are prone to destruction. The trees are being used for many paper production, and the wood is also being used for production of furniture.
Impacts in terrestrial ecosystem. Every year, vast areas of diverse tropical forests are lost or degraded, with disastrous effects for biodiversity. Direct human activities such as habitat destruction and fragmentation are the primary main drivers of tropical forest biodiversity loss. Deforestation is a significant cause of habitat loss. Deforestation has numerous negative effects on a natural ecosystem and poses severe threats to the planet's resilience. Let's look at the primary consequences of deforestation, foreseeing why it's so harmful for the ecosystem. Most well effect of deforestation is the damage it possesses to biodiversity. Forests are, in fact, some of the most important biodiversity hubs. The forest is home to many rare and vulnerable species including mammals, birds, insects, amphibians, and plants. Forests are home to 80% of the world's land animals and plants. Human activities are endangering entire ecosystems, causing natural imbalances and putting lives in danger by destroying forests. Deforestation devastates the habitat of thousands of animals and plants that rely on the forest for nutrients and environmental sustainability. Deforestation has already resulted in the extinction of a number of species, which can disrupt food chains in forested areas and disrupt ecosystems. The natural world is complex, interconnected, and made up of thousands of interdependencies. And trees provide shade and cooler temperatures for the animals and smaller trees for vegetation that may not be able to withstand the heat of direct sunlight, among other things. Trees also feed animals with their fruits, as well as providing them with the food and shelter they require to survive. Impacts in aquatic ecosystem. Anthropogenic activities have almost contaminated and pollute our diverse ecosystems. They're responsible for the changes in the marine ecological conditions, and such may indicate alteration or damage and loss to the marine habitat. Such water pollution leads to environmental pollution and contaminates the water. These are the causes of habitat loss and their impact in aquatic ecosystem. Radioactive material is frequently found in the form of discarded industrial and military waste, as well as atmospheric debris. These pollutants can cause disease in marine life directly or indirectly by entering the food chain and harming the species there. Exist nutrients such as nutrient oxides come from sewage, power plants residuals, and land use such as farming and forestry. Algal blooms, which emit toxins and deplete oxygen in seawater, are fed by this airborne or land-based pollution. As a result, a variety of aquatic species, including plants and fish, die. Erosion caused by mining, coastal dredging, and land use creates sediment that prevents sea plants from photosynthesis, clogs fish gills, and severely damage ecosystems. Exist nutrients and toxins are also carried by sediment. Extinction of one means the extinction of the other in the food chain. The whole consequence of the marine habitat loss and destruction is that it leads to death and migration of animals. Some plants also die and become extinct due to the extreme ecological conditions.
Every year, almost 15 billion trees are cut. According to a research published in Nature, the number of trees has decreased by 46% since the beginning of civilization. Deforestation diminishes trees' capacity to provide a crucial benefit of carbon absorption, which helps to alleviate the consequences of climate change, in addition to habitat loss. In rivers, coastal areas, and the ocean, the situation is significantly worse. The majority of marine species have their breeding habitats on coastal estuaries and wetlands. Species are less able to give birth and maintain their young, as inland wetlands are dredged and filled. Pollution and effluents readily migrate to the ocean via streams and rivers, affecting the health of fish, birds, and marine plants. Deforestation along the coast can result to erosion that enters the ocean and deposits sediment along the shallow marine areas, obstructing the sunlight that coral reefs need to thrive. Despite the worldwide habitat loss that has occurred to date, there is still reason to be optimistic. According to studies, plant and animal species may thrive if half of the world's land and oceans were protected. Only 15% of the land and 7% of the ocean are protected today, leaving us with a difficult but a realistic goal.
Out